All right, I'm waiting to be given controls over here. Let me see, or can I do this? Maybe I can do this. Let me see. Can I do this? Yes, I can. Yeah, how about that? Hey, hey everyone. I want to get a check here before we dive into this. I've tried to get as many people on this call as possible. Made a special pleas to everyone to come to this call because this one is going to be a serious deep dive into persuasion, into making what I call the perfect pitch. And everything is for naught. Everything is for naught unless you understand what it takes to make a pitch. And over the next 2 weeks, we're going to be diving really heavily into this. This is the deepest of that deep dive. We're setting up the offer today. And I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. So before we go any further, Leanne, are you there? Are you hear me? Can you see the screen? Are we all good?
You are very good. Can hear you
Awesome.
and see your screen.
Okay, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. The homework I gave last week was at last check was only done by one person, and that person has been hot seated already. Granted, homework on Fridays, like I say, that is an optional thing. You don't have to do it. The homework you're going to do this week is going to be hard, and I'm going to, in order for me to get through this level of training, it's going to already go overtime. I'm going to have to skip any sort of hot seats unless somebody hasn't been hot seated. So if somebody has done their homework that hasn't been hot seated, please raise your hand and we will get to you at the end of the session today. Okay, that's what we're going to do because I want to get on to everything that is going to be super vital for this, and that is the perfect pitch. Okay, we're going to get into some heavy stuff today. This is stuff you're going to want to watch more than once for sure. We're going to go into some really deep psychology. We're going to go into formula after formula after formula. We're going to go into real world examples. It's a kind of a hodgepodge of everything that I talk about inside copywriting. It is the most vital part. You can set up everything perfectly. You can have the perfect rapport. You can have the perfect level of intimacy, of empathy and intimacy for that matter. You can have all the NLP in the world. And if you get to the pitch and it's not an irresistible offer, you are screwed. It's game over. I could do all of that and sell my bracelet for $9,999, and I'm not going to make very many sales. Okay, so you need an irresistible offer. An irresistible offer is absolutely mandatory. Now, what I'm going to say is going to sound a little bit weird because an irresistible offer, by all means, has something to do with price point. You have to make the price where somebody goes, oh, it has to be in the Goldilocks zone of prices. Now we're going to talk more about price later next week, but briefly, if your offer is being sold at too low of a price point, it's going to give resistance. If it's sold at too high of a price point, it's going to give resistance. That's why you want to test your offer. What's the perfect offer price? No one knows. You have to test your price points. It's hard to do because, some people will pay more, some people will pay less. It's just part of what you have to do. And I'm telling you, that's part of creating an irresistible offer. But now here's the part that's going to sound weird, okay? If you have any reservations when constructing your offer, when you're writing your offer, it will show up in your writing. Now, you're going to do a lot of work between now and Friday inside Copy Pro, and some work inside Accelerator if you want to, but definitely inside Copy Pro, because a lot of these formulas have already been created for you. But that doesn't mean that you can write them by yourself. Just because I can create them for you and they can show up in emails and some sales pages and stuff, that's great. That's awesome. But you need to know how they're written so that you don't need the machine. You can write this on your own. And as you go through writing this on your own, if you have any reservations whatsoever about what you're saying, about what your mental state will actually drip through the words, it will. And if you're doing a VSL, you can magnify that times 10. If you're doing anything with your audio, if you don't believe it, people will hear it. Absolutely. So I want you to have the power of a VSL writer, even if you're writing a self-scripted, no one will ever hear your voice. Now, this is the opposite mental stance of empathy. I want you to go into your ideal self, your idealized self. Now, I've talked about this on the telethon call that we had that some of you were part of. We got a little deep. We're going to get a little deep here. I liken this to Friedrich Nietzsche's Superman. Okay, if you don't know the Übermensch, Nietzsche was a German philosopher that had a lot of weird ideas. He had a lot of bad ideas. He had a lot of good ideas. And this is one of his ideas that was taken completely out of context, by the way. I will say that completely not. It's not some nefarious thing here. Nietzsche himself called this character a Caesar with Christ's soul. Now, just picture that, if you will. I'm asking you to go into that level of state. That level of state. And let me just tell you what that really means. That's your ideal, optimized, actualized super self when writing a pitch. You're not arrogant, you're optimized. What that means is that you give yourself mental permission, and that's all it is mental permission, to step into the character of yourself that is devoid of any sort of doubt, any sort of neuroses, any sort of questioning. When you're writing your pitch, just your pitch, and you can go into all that other stuff later, okay? And you put it on the shelf. You can literally write yourself a note. I give myself permission to pick all of my baggage back up at the end of this hour-long writing exercise I'm going to do and write a pitch without any of it. And then I challenge you to write the same pitch, like take a break from it, a couple of days, come back and write another pitch in your normal mental state and read the difference. It will be very apparent what the differences are. It with, again, not arrogance, optimization. Okay, now that's the framework. We're going back to week 1 where I set up the framework, the mental framework that you had to go into, the empathy formula. Remember the persuasion quadrants? You have to go into that framework when you're writing anything as a whole. And now we're into the pitch. We're into a different framework. And the framework of this is the Nietzschean Superman. Okay, Caesar with Christ soul. It's your optimized super self. This is what you want to be in when you're writing the pitch. Okay, now let's get to the components of it. Let's get down the brass tacks here. How do I do it? Sounds weird, John. Sounds great, John. How do I do this? Well, we're going to be focusing on 5 elements today. The offer pre-frame. We're going to combine the pre-frame with success traits, which you should have already filled out if you did your homework, because that's in the lesson before in CopyPro. The offer USP. I'm just going to ask you to follow a simple formula for the USP. The USP, a lot of people really get stressed out about a USP. It's an elevator pitch for your product. We have a formula for it, pretty simple. Now, sales bullets. Again, we're just going to follow the formula, but as you're going to see in my examples, I don't always follow that formula. I'm giving you a formula that I'm asking you to follow so that you can get the idea down and then break the rules, okay? Because sales bullets, let me tell you, a little hint here, some of the best copywriters in the world, this is where they start. John Carlton starts with sales bullets. When he has a letter to write, he starts with sales bullets. Now, I'm going to ask you something, because sales bullets are the most bold claims that you can make. They're super bold, intriguing, bizarre, a combination of every psychological tactic that you can think of to grab somebody by the throat. Okay? Do you think that you can be in your neurotic self or your less than confident self and write those? You cannot be. You had better be in your character of yourself. I call that character the Nietzschean Superman. You can call it whatever you want, but you better be in that character when you write those bullets. Now, social proof. I'm going to give you a great tip for this if you don't have it, because you need it. The more social proof you have, the easier it is to sell. It's that simple. If you have 100 testimonials, you can just go down the line. There's one after the other, one after the other. That's just going to increase your sales? Absolutely. What if you don't? I'm going to give you the testimonials bonus trick today and the offer guarantee. I'm going to give you my triple guarantee formula and my 5-point checklist formula. Those are both mine. You've probably seen them in other letters. I created them. You're welcome to use them as much as you want. Now that's a lot to cover in one session. Now you can see why we're going through this like we're doing. Next week, we're going to talk about closes. How do you close the offer, which is basically calls to actions. Okay, next week is actually easier. Okay, but we're going to talk about combining closes, stacking closes, stuff like that. That's all next week. So setting this up for this week, this is what we're covering. Okay, let's dive in. What is a pre-frame? A pre-frame is an NLP technique. It's setting up your offer, in my case, from the position of having first analyzed success case studies within your niche, and B, the years that you spent researching it all to create this solution. I want you to unpack that just a little bit, okay? If I'm talking to you about something that is great. I go, look, my clients love this. It's working for this people. It's awesome. That's okay. But if I come to you from a framework of, you know what I did, I'm not perfect. I'm not. I made mistakes, as you saw in my story. I made mistakes, and I knew I had to lean on successful people. I had to stand on the shoulders of giants, as this phrase is often used. And in order to do that, I analyzed 150 of the most successful blank people in the world because I knew their success could be replicated. And you know what? It took me years to replicate that, to figure out how to teach that process, to replicate their success. And guess what? I'm doing it. Well, what am I doing? And I'm just mouthing this off. There's no slides to look at. What am I doing? We're going to break it down. Don't worry. I'm going to break all that down for you in just a moment. But doesn't that sound more compelling than I did all the homework myself? See, we talked a little bit about NASA on the call before the pre-call today. And the reason why NASA got Apollo 13 home was because they had a team of people gathering around, trying to do the math, trying to figure out how to make stuff out of nothing. That's how they got people home. You have a much more of a relaxed feeling knowing that you're not just three people stuck into a little device in the middle of space, freezing your ass off. You know that there's a team of people helping you home. So if you, as a buyer, know that it's not just one person that you don't know this person, you know them only from the letter, but they're like, look, here's what I did. And I want you to look back at your own product creation, however you're creating your product, and look at all the success case studies you studied. Look at all the articles you read, look at all the books you read, look at all and frame it like this. And then it took you years to perfect a formula out of all those case studies. Now, we already did this with success traits. As you'll see, they all had one thing in common. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. But man, is that ever a pre-frame setup? That pre-frame is everything. It's so important. This pre-frames the offer as something is more than a pitch. It's the collective sum of knowledge of the ultra successful. So you're giving someone the library of knowledge. I've done this extraordinarily well with CopyPro. And it's literally true. CopyPro is going to be, and it already is, compared to everything else out there, it's the collective sum of knowledge of 20, in this case 27, I think, of the world's top copywriters. Okay, it's about to be 27,000 of the world's top. There's not going to be anything on the planet that can rival it. The collective sum of knowledge is not me. It's not me going, I know everything you need to know about copy. I don't. But what I do is I know how to get it. Now that's a much stronger pre-frame. And I can say that, by the way, as any good general would say it. I'm going to go back to my Nietzsche Superman guy. As a general would say it, like, I'm not going to fight the battle. I'm not going to get out. I mean, some generals get out there with the swords. I'm not going to be on the front lines. The last person who will kill is me, but I'm going to tell everyone what to do. And I'm going to be fighting also. Good generals, they fought too, but they mostly were back there going, no, go charge. Okay, they know what to tell you. That's the collective sum of power. I'm talking about the collective sum of knowledge. Okay, basically your mindset is this: you've studied the most successful, you've role modeled their approach, then you perfected that into a system by working with your own clients. And that's a little story. See what we're doing here? We're telling a story about your offer. So few people do that. They just dive into the offer. The great ads all have stories. Well, not all of them, most of them have stories about the offer. Now, this takes you out of having to be the one with all the answers. Psychologically pre-frames your prospect to adopt a success mindset. It's next to impossible to think of failure when somebody's going, you know what I've already done? I figured out how everyone that's succeeding at this, how they're doing it. I had my suspicions and I tested it, and it's true. It's replicatable. Virtually anyone can do it. Already they're in a success mindset. Wow, okay, cool. That's a pre-frame. Now, you're going to combine success traits, which is inside CopyPro, with the offer pre-frame to create the following kick-ass pre-frame. And here it is. By the way, there's dozens of ways to write this. There's not one way to write this. I'm giving you one. Okay. Are there patterns of the truly successful? I analyzed blank, however many, of the top blank success stories, top weight loss success stories, top marketing success stories, the top would be anything, marriage success stories. Might want to change the wording if it was marriage success stories. They all share one thing in common. Now, I think that phrase is so important. That's the success trait that you see in CopyPro. Because if you look at the truly successful in anything, they some people may take a high-fat diet, some people take a low-fat diet, some people blah, 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 but they usually have one thing in common. And if you can pull out that one thing in common, as I ask you to do in success traits inside CopyPro, guess what we've done? We've taken the one thing yet again. The one thing that you want someone to believe is now taken and made into the product itself. There's one thing they all have in common. And obviously you want that one thing to be something that is gonna have, you have to explain it. So that here you get the success trait details, go right here, okay? And the next phrase is this, it took time. 15 years, 12 months, however long it took to perfect this into a system, a blueprint, of course, whatever you want to call it. And what resulted from this was a success blueprint that you can follow. Now, you can elaborate this. I worked with dozens of clients, hundreds of clients, thousands of clients, how many there are, over the years. And I turned this into like a success roadmap, a blueprint that you can follow, one that works consistently for virtually everyone, time and time again. Introducing offer name. That is the overview of the pre-frame and the setup. I'm setting up my offer. Now let's look at this in taking the blanks out, okay? Are there patterns of the truly successful? I analyzed over 100 of the top weight loss success stories. They all share one thing in common. They vary their carbohydrate intake throughout the week. Then I would go into the detail of that, okay? But it took time, 14 years, working with everyone from hopeless weight loss cases to professional athletes, which is, by the way, true. So now look what I've done with my whole took time statement, took me 14 years, working with everyone from the most hopeless case studies in the world to professional athletes to perfect this all into a system, okay? And what resulted was a success blueprint that you can follow, one that works consistently, etc., introducing the 4-day diet. So that's a pre-frame example. Now, look, I could write this in a dozen different ways. I even spoke it differently than it's written on screen because I'm so used to doing this. But you can hear the pattern now, can't you? Okay. Now, this can all be in one place in your sales letter. That would be a super condensed version of it. Okay. Condensed as you saw it on the other slide, or spread apart as it is within my $50 million sales letter blueprint, which is hint, hint, found within CopyPro, hint, hint, homework, hint. Yes, I'll go into it more later. Don't freak out. But yes, it's spread apart in CopyPro. It's in my $50 million version of the sales letter. It's spread apart. It's not all, you don't have to cram it all in one place, but the ideas must be there. Now, it can be altered to fit whatever product or service that you may be. Perhaps you studied other pros. Perhaps you didn't look at, other like case studies, for example. But the key to this pre-frame is the power of role modeling success. That's the key. You've looked at all the most successful X's in the world, and you created a Y blueprint for others to follow. And then you can go, look, if you want to replicate the, I'm jumping ahead to next week. Listen, if you want to do this yourself, you can. You can. You don't have to buy this product. You can take the next 14 years and you can analyze the case study. You can see how now the logic is really hard to refute, right? You can take all that time I took. And by the way, I did this for a living. And you can analyze all these, and then you can work with people and you can figure this out, or you can take it all from me right now. I'm diving a little bit into next week, but that's okay. Now that is the offer pre-frame. We're just one down, 4 to go, guys. Next up is the USP. A USP is a unique selling proposition. It's an elevator pitch of your offer. That's all it is. I like to keep USPs within 25 words or so. There's not a, you don't want them to be 100 words. You want them to be something that if you're stuck in an elevator, somebody says, so tell me what's the whole idea behind your offer? You go, blah. You can just spit it out, right? So I have a USP formula. In fact, we have it in Accelerator. We have it in CopyPro, and it's super easy to follow. Here's the formula. The turn, the medium, the target, the big hairy promise, and the withouts. Now, those are my labels for today. They're labeled slightly different in CopyPro, but let's explain what that is. The turn is just a transition. I'll show you what that means in just a moment. The medium is how your product is offered, but you can have an expanded medium, and you can also have an expanded avatar. So your target is your avatar. So here's where you might want to use an avatar like men and women everywhere, for example. might be my avatar for this. That's expanded avatar. It's not like my super tier 3 for fat burners maybe. So, but I show you how I did it. I did both in my example. I'll show you. And then you want to level a big, hairy promise that lets you blink, that empowers you to blink. And it's the biggest promise you have. It is the most important thing that you can promise your potential buyer. And then you turn around with duality, as we've talked about for 5 weeks now, the withouts. And let you do all this without, and all the withouts are all their objections. Don't use more than 3 because it would get kind of lengthy, but you'll see how this works. Now, how does that look into real life? Well, like this. As soon as my slide shows up, there it is. Turn. This resulted in the world's first cyclical blueprint for men and women and fat burners everywhere. See how I combined it? For men and women and fat burners everywhere. I want to say men and women. Okay. Now I said cyclical blueprint because I use that phrase. I could say blueprint. I could say system that empowers you to lose up to 21 pounds in 21 days. Now, before we get into any sort of claims about like, oh, what can you say, et cetera, this is deep within a letter, so you can usually get by with it. And by the way, that's true. Without exercise, counting calories, or doing without your favorite foods. That's it. That's the USP. That's all there is to it. But that is a condensed, hyper-condensed version of my product. My product is the world's first cyclical blueprint for men and women and fat burners everywhere. Powers you to lose up to 21 pounds, 21 days without exercise, counting calories, or doing without your favorite foods. That's it. But without you having a condensed version of your own product into a USP, you can forget about selling it because you don't know it well enough. Remember, if you can't teach it, you don't know it. If you can't state it simply, you don't know it. This helps you state it simply. And let me give you some good news here. USPs aren't easy. For most people, not great. I got a formula, and the formula works really well, and it helps you think through it. But it ain't easy. If I was just pulling you off the call today and go, okay, what's your USP? I guarantee you, most of you would have been, oh, it's a product, get better at marketing. And, no, that's not a USP. That's a USP, a unique selling proposition. What's unique about this is the term cyclical blueprint. You don't even know what that is. Now, I could make it blueprint. Wouldn't be as unique. It's still unique because I said the world's first. If it's not the world's first, you can say the world's premier, the world's finest. That is subjective. And if you believe that, say it. Now, here's the trick. You can combine these two. You can use this formula, and this is just a slide. I'm going to let you go back and look at this slide. You can look at the same formula. Are there patterns of the truly successful? Analyze 100 of the top weight loss success stories. Here's what they share in common. And now I go, it took time, 14 years to perfect this system, and now I go right back to my USP. This resulted in the world's first cyclical blueprint for Sessão. You can see how this works. It's all into a formula introducing 4-day diet. I'm using my weight loss with the 4-day diet. Now, that is a lot of information to cover, but we're just getting started. That's why you're gonna have to watch this more than once. But you can see how important this is to setting up the buyer's mindset. Okay, remember, everyone's got the buyer's language, just like you got a love language. We're hammering on the 4 persuasion quadrants like crazy in this, like crazy. Just take my words, use them, they're all there, and you're gonna speak the buying language. Now, it's time to talk about some bullets. Bullets are fun. Bullets are hard-hitting promises. However, they're laced with a combination of hyper-specific guarantees and blind teasers that build insane curiosity. Now, I could give you a lecture on just bullets alone. Studying sales bullets is copywriting gold, okay? Now, fortunately, I have a sales bullet formula as well. And I will show you, and I will actually show you where it's broke. I will show, it's just broken this version. We're fixing it in the next version. It's kind of funny, but the formula is not broke. The actual structure is broken inside CopyPro. But the lead will be your super attention grabber. And oh my gosh, there's so many different leads. I mean, it's just, there's not one way to do leads, okay? I want you to get into sales bullets inside CopyPro after this call and play around with, after I show you what's broke, and play around with this one area. It's the only, by the way, it's the only area in Copy Pro that's broke. But play around with this and create your own sales bullets. And you can create them from within sales letters, or you can create them within emails, whatever. So they're usually found in sales letters, and see how they work. But you can see how many different versions of successful bullets we put in here. Everything from a Makepeace bullet to a Carlton bullet to a Ogilvy bullet to a, I mean, all the great copywriters, we just took their various bullets and distilled them down into a formula. Okay, the lead, the super attention grabber, the verb. Every bullet's got a verb in it, just about. Okay, and you want to think juicy verbs most of the time. Obliterate is better than end. Okay, just think of it that way. To put an end, to obliterate. Okay, much better, right? Juicy verbs. And I promised you a juicy verbs list. We're working on it. Might be a few weeks. Okay, what's after the verb? As soon as my slide comes up, I'll tell you. I don't know what's going on with my slides this morning. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Okay, the lead, the verb, the hook. The hook is the sexy promise. The sexy promise is what it is. It's the meat of the bullet. Okay, the turn is a pivot in the story. It can be as simple as another without, by the way. I'm going to promise you that you're going to discover a secret liquid you can drink that will eradicate your allergies in 21 days. Could be the turn. Obliterate your allergies is the hook in under 21 days. And then there's a close. You can close out your bullet with a promise. 21 days, and then I would say in 21 days, and then you could do something really sexy layered as well. As in 21 days, a secret of the movie, a secret of the Hollywood celebrities. So you can just keep stacking on top of this using this simple formula of lead, verb, hook, turn, close. Now, I'm going to give you tons of examples here, and you're going to see in some of these examples, I break that law, and some of them I follow it to the letter, okay? 5 ways the copy gurus influence you negatively and lead you into copy failure mode. Okay, so what are we doing? Let's go back to our formula. Okay, I'm gonna go back over here to our formula real quick. The lead, 5 ways. Okay, the verb, what's the verb over here? The hook is simple over here. So go back over here. 5 ways the copy gurus influence you negatively. Influence is the verb. So copy gurus influence you negatively, and that it's also the verb and the hook. And lead you into copy failure mode is both the turn and the close. Warning, that's the lead. Don't even think of trying to increase sales and profits until you learn how trying to write emails from scratch can sabotage your results. Notice how we've taken something you think that you need to do and turn it around backwards. How to automatically generate high converting emails and sequences within seconds, and all without having to hire expensive copywriters. By the way, these are all very formulaic. We're getting some of the ones that aren't formulaic in some of our examples later on Friday, because they're really wild. Okay, are you making any of these 3 internet marketing mistakes? You need to click on Setup Quick Start. Okay, so that you can get. I'm doing this inside. This is my bullets for Copy Pro. You might be surprised. So it's an action that they're taking. Are you making verb any of these 3 marketing mistakes? What's that? That's the meat of the hook, right? You need to click on blank. What's a turn? And the close is you might be surprised. That's just following the formula, right? You'll find out how to avoid blank page paralysis. Never again will you feel freaked out by that dreaded blinking cursor of death or beaten down about copy creation. Notice these are like really getting over the top. It's okay. Bullets are your chance to just let everything fly. You'll get a surefire trick for choosing the perfect power verb. You're going to love this. Now, that's a simple one. A surefire trick, okay? That's the verb for choosing. You can make that the verb too. That's actually more of a noun, but choosing the perfect power verb. You can say discovering, finding, whatever, the perfect power verb. You're going to love this. That's the close. Okay, simple stuff here. I'll get down to the next one here. Plus, watch your copy convert like crazy using this 50. Now, this is one of my favorites. Plus, watch your copy convert like crazy. Convert is the verb. Using this 57-year-old madman tactic. That's the meat, right? The turn, you'll even, the close, amaze yourself with this neat little trick. You can break all this down into that simple formula. You'll even amaze yourself with this neat little trick. Now, notice it's a neat little trick. It's not some it's not some long, elaborate thing. It's a 57-year-old madman tactic. That just builds insane curiosity. It's blind. You don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. So you might even have to look up what Mad Men is if you don't know the TV show. Those are what makes bullets really, really cool. Okay. Now, not every bullet, like I said, follows that formula, but they all work around it. And you're going to start inside CopyPro. And I want you to try only using the CopyPro bullets. Let me give you a couple of looks here, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Oopsie. We actually did not make a mistake here. This is actually the only way that we could do this. I came up with the bullet formula for the CopyPro 2 version of the software. In CopyPro 1, if you put a field in front of another field without getting into technical mumbo jumbo, it messes up everything. And so we already had a pseudo hook formula, but we came up with a better one. And so I had to put the lead at the bottom. So it kind of sucks, but that's the only thing that in the software that I don't like. But that's fixed in CopyPro 2, so hang on for another month. So we're going to start from the bottom of this. The lead is 2 quick tips to finally verb, lose, hook, stubborn, pockets of fat, turn is just without starving yourself or counting calories. Really close to a benefit formula here, okay? Now this is a little bit different. A near instant way is the lead to generate proven emails and sequences to sell. And then the turn is a fact, even if you've never written copy in your life. Now, what's interesting is you can tell these are all drop downs. So you can find all like dozens and dozens of verbs and hooks and leads and all this stuff. And you can just mix and match these things inside CopyPro until you come up with stuff that you really like. And some of them are crazy. Some of them are simple, like you'll turn to page 7. You know, that's a great, by the way, that is a great close. Turn to page 7 for the answer. So that's how these bullets are constructed. Cool, huh? Now, let's get into the social proof. Social proof can make or break an offer. The stronger the proof, the easier it is to sell. Simple. We've already talked about that. That said, proof can be scarce and sometimes non-existent. If you're working on a new offer, you ain't got no proof, right? You think you might not have any proof. Okay. I'm going to give you some tips to getting killer testimonials fast. Okay. The very first one is one I used when I put out a podcast that I ended up not doing. But it got over 200 reviews overnight and shot up to, I've got the screenshots to prove it. It shot up to number 3 on iTunes for marketing and number 14 overall, just overnight. Of course, it didn't last because I got the 200 reviews, but it was great. I got the screenshots for it. And what I did is I offered a bonus in exchange for an honest testimonial. Like just go on the podcast, rate it, and say something nice about John. Send that as, and here's the rules that we laid out. You have to send us a screen capture to customer support to get your bonus. So I didn't let somebody just say they did, right? What blew me away about these people that were writing this stuff, you could really tell they were writing some really, really sweet stuff and really personal. So it was really neat. I had no idea people, actually I walked away from that feeling better than I felt in years. So it's kind of interesting. So I've got those 200 reviews stacked into, and most of them were about my stuff, not really about the podcast, okay? So it was just great to get that kind of feedback. All I did was ask. If you don't have a huge email list, and I don't have a really huge one, but if you don't have a huge one, you can just ask on social media. You can email customers or even friends that have tried your product. Offer them a nice bonus for an honest testimonial. Best is a social review. Like on the podcast, we had iTunes. I just copied the iTunes page. So I could say, this is on iTunes. You can go look for it yourself. Same with Facebook reviews. They're great because they carry instant trust. You know that the guy isn't lying, you know. You can Photoshop a Facebook thing if you're so unethical to do so, but you know what? People can find it, and it's a lot better when you can direct people there. You know, that's really cool. So I love Facebook reviews. So that's a great way to get some honest testimonials really fast. You know what? 3 or 4 really good ones is the bare minimum, but you can get those just from friends and family and stuff like that if they've gone through your product. Okay. Another one's at the bottom here. Write a series of testimonials. I love this one. A series of testimonials to click on with a bonus, you know, if need be, and you frame it as a survey. People love to take surveys. Every survey we've ever sent out saying, hey, would you answer this? What do you think is we did a survey for CopyPro. What's your biggest need in marketing right now? Just click the phrase that's your biggest need. And we had people add some. We had a blank field so they could add a need. And it was interesting because we ended up adding those needs into our I need to field in CopyPro. But it was framed as a survey. I would really love your feedback. And in this case, it was a survey. But the thing is, I could have done the same thing and have done the same thing for testimonials. Say, will you please click on the testimonial that best suits your experience within fill in the blank product? And please be honest, and please include your name and email, and I'll send you a bonus that will give you something super nice. Okay, so there's an ethical bribe to get a really good testimonial. Most people want to tell you good stuff, they just don't think about it. They'll think about telling you bad stuff. Hey, this doesn't work. Hey, this is broken. But good stuff, not as frequent. You have to catch them in a really good mood. But if you ask them, and especially, and there's some subtle genius in here, you're the one writing the testimonial. So you can write a testimonial that follows our bullet formula or our benefit formula. The thing I love about fill in the blank products is it gave me X without Y or Z. So we know that works psychologically. And we know that, so then you can say, like, you can take pictures, you can have them submit, go to their Facebook page, grab their picture, which say, I have permission to use this on the sales page. Now you've got 10 or 20 pre-written testimonials that you can write in different ways. Of course, you're not always benefit without, right? But that best represents their experience. That will get you testimonials really quick. And again, just put on that page, it's like, please, what I have just recently figured out to do is to say, hey, what's your Facebook page? And if you don't mind, let me use a picture inside the testimonial. So if they don't want to do that, they don't fill in that blank. But if they do, now you got their picture and everything. It's really killer, right? Now you can also make that even better and do that survey on Facebook. So by instantaneous one swipe of the magical wand, you've got their picture, you've got everything. And if it's on Facebook, it's public domain. You can use it all you want. Now, here's another one. Get testimonials for your bonuses. Now, this is a triple whammy thing. So bonuses sell products. We're going to talk more about that next week. But you want to get testimonials for the bonuses themselves. First, it gives your prospect multiple reasons to buy. If they're not sold on your primary offer, a bonus with a killer testimonial, for example, I would have paid twice the amount that John's asking for this product just for this bonus. And again, you can pre-write these. Hey, which bonus did you like the best? Which phrase best represents your experience with this bonus? Click, 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 right? Don't ask your client to write something. They can if they want to. You can always leave a field, by the way. Always leave a field. Hey, would you like to add anything to this? Because they may say, like, you know what? I couldn't put my kids through college until I did it. They may say something crazy that you want in there. Okay, but that will push somebody over the edge to buy something. They go, oh wow, that bonus sounds really, really awesome. Now it adds monster social proof to your offer because all the client is seeing as they're scrolling down, especially if this is a sales letter, as they're seeing picture, proof, picture, proof, picture, proof. They don't even notice if it's proof toward, now I'm gonna get crazy on you here. I'm gonna get freaking crazy on you. They don't know if it's proof toward your product, toward your bonuses. You know what else we get testimonials on? Did this for Metabolic Sherpa? On customer support, on their experiences with downloading the product. All they're seeing is picture, they're glancing over the testimonials, but now you're stacking it up. This had to be the easiest product I've ever accessed. The customer service for 4-Day Diet is just out of this world. I can't say enough about them. So you're just adding pictures, you're adding just visual eye candy, and they're also awesome testimonials, right? Third and final, and this is a great little increase your revenue technique, sell your bonuses. We've sold the 28-day product creation formula. We sold the VSL Fast Track because when I tell you it's worth $497, that's what we sold it for. That's what I sold it for. And I can put that on sale. I can say, hey, listen, normally sells for $497, selling for $297. Look at what people are saying about the VSL Fast Track or the 28-day product creation formula. I've got bonuses, I've got testimonials for those bonuses. You see where we're going with all this? Now you've got lots of tools to get yourself social proof, which you're going to need. Now, we're going to wrap up today by talking about the offer guarantee. Bottom line is this: if you use a guarantee, you really have to make it count. You have to make it count. I'm gonna give you an example of what has to be the best guarantee I've ever heard. It's the farthest reaching guarantee I've ever heard for sure. And most people could never do it, but I'm gonna give you a frame to think around, okay? Now, that being said, I've removed guarantees from offers. Accelerator has no guarantee. I took Accelerator guarantee out 3 years ago, I think, and said, you know, we're just done. And we've already, this thing does billions of dollars a year for customers. If you don't have, if the premier author of the VSL, literally the creator of it, and the premier product in the world was enough for you, you just need to go somewhere else. We don't offer guarantees for this because you're going to spend $2,000. You're going to work your ass off. I'm not giving you a guarantee. I'm meeting you in the middle, but no guarantees. If you're a tire kicker, it ain't for you. So I can phrase that in such a powerful, strong way because I have such a powerful, strong position. Okay. That only works for higher dollar offers. If I did that for a $37 offer, it'd never work. It's too competitive. If you must offer a guarantee, for example, if you have a lower dollar product offer, super competitive space like weight loss, for example, then here's a couple of things you can do. First of all, and it's by far and away my favorite if you can pull it off, and that is the big if you can pull it off. Because I've so far only heard my friend Jason pulling this thing off. And that's this: make it as bold and daring as possible. Okay. If you don't know who Jason Fladlin is, Fladlin, I'm not, you know, it's so funny. I've never asked him how to pronounce his last name. I was just a friend of mine. I think it's Fladlin. Jason's a great guy, and he's one of the boldest, ballsiest marketers you'll ever meet. He did an Amazon pitch, right? And they're selling an Amazon product. It's like it's obviously not a, it's on a webinar. And he has this ridiculous guarantee. His guarantee starts off like this. He goes, okay, here's my guarantee. First of all, I want to show you a picture of a certified letter from my bank. And I'm going to give you a number to call. You can call him right now. It's the number of my personal banker. And the letter basically said, I am hereby certified with they had it like they had a notary public and everything, had it certified that Rapid Crush, this company name, has $1 million in this bank account. And that is being held in escrow for any potential product buybacks. Okay, it was like, holy crap, that's the best I've ever heard. I mean, you have to have $1 million to pull it off. So he said, yeah, if you don't believe me, call my banker, call the bank, look it up yourself. If you think the bank's a fake number, look it up on the internet. Here it is on the internet. So they went through all this like proof, like here it is on the internet. Call my banker. And he told me, he said, yeah, people called the banker. The banker agreed to do this because they have $1 million in their bank account, right? Well, the guarantee was simple. It's like, if this doesn't work for you, we'll buy back all of the stock, all of your product stock that you bought, because they're selling, you know, how to sell products on Amazon. So if you bought coffee mugs and couldn't sell them, we'll buy your coffee mugs back. It's like, whoa, man, that's just insane. That was the best, boldest guarantee I've ever heard. And then they'll also give you your money back. So there's like, you know, so they knew they could sell it. And even if they didn't sell it, they knew what would happen. That crushed their, at the time that they did this was the #1 webinar offer ever made $9 million on one day. So if I remember that math correctly, there has been since a $20 million webinar, and I know that guy too, Fernando. Of course, it's a little bit of a different market. They're in the crypto space, and that thing was just blowing up, and they just blew that up. But that's a bold and daring offer. I'm telling you that story to get you to think, what can I do that's bold and daring? Okay. Bottom line, make it count, right? Now, I'm going to tell you one more thing. If you can't do the bold and daring, I want you to use my triple guarantee approach. Okay. You can tease this earlier in your letter, and you're going to get more attention. You're going to get people, especially in a VSL, you're going to get more people watching. Now, listen, I'm so confident in this. I'm about to show you in a few minutes. I got a triple money back guarantee. Now, this is true. It's just a slight play on words. So people are thinking, wait, you're going to pay me triple my money back? No, because I'm assuming that you can't do that, right? So if you can't offer that or double your money back, Jason Fladlin style offer, then use this, okay? Steal this at will. Triple guarantee. Give your prospect 3 ways to get their money back. I'm going to give you a triple guarantee, 3 different ways I will give you all of your money back. This is not a triple your money back offer. Way number one, a big hairy promise plus a timeline. If you don't X within Y days, and I want you to notice the phrasing here. I use this phrasing on purpose. I insist on giving your money back. Now, you'd be an outlier, but on the off chance the super unexpected happens, and that happens, I couldn't sleep at night if I took a penny of your money. You might want to steal every word on that slide. That's some good copy. You'd be an outlier. So what is that telling you? You know, you'd be the weirdo in the bunch. You know, if you don't lose 21 pounds in 21 days, you'd be weird, but it could happen. Off chance it could happen, and I couldn't sleep at night if that happened. If I took a penny of your money. So way number two is the easy peasy promise. Or way number two, if this isn't the easiest diet plan you have ever tried, if this isn't the easiest internet marketing system you have ever tried, it doesn't matter what the product is. It's not the easiest you've ever tried. And by the way, I'll say this even if I know it's hard. And you can even work that in the promise. You know, say easy doesn't mean that you don't work at it, but the work is so well constructed, it feels easy. You can say it that way. So easy is something that's a very good to promise if you can. If you can't make the easy peasy promise, you make you have to make another promise. Like for example, if this is the most to the point blueprint that you've ever followed, down to the letter of every single thing you need to do, that may be hard work, but it's super easy to follow. Are you hearing me? That's way number two. I'll give you all your money back. And way number three is the over the top. If what I call even if you don't like the font. This is an accelerator. Look, if you don't like anything about this book, this offer, this software, I say if you don't like how I talk, if you don't like the promises I make, if you don't like the system, if you don't like the foods you choose, even if you don't like the font that I chose for my book, now I use that on purpose because it's such a ridiculous thing to say. For any reason at all, I'm going to guarantee your purchase. It's 100% secure today. Now notice that I don't say anything about risk because I don't want to put risk in their mind. Now, I break that rule sometimes, but most of the time I don't say risk. Your purchase is 100% secure today. I don't say it's all risk-free. Do you hear the difference? Do you hear the tonal difference? It's a big one. Now, there's another great tactic I'm going to share with you, and that is the 5-point checklist guarantee. Okay, came up with this working with Marketing Sherpa, the guys, Mark Stock, genius copywriters, and came up with this guarantee for one of their offers, and it was so killer we've just replicated it. Okay, and it's called the 5-point checklist. I want you to give your prospect a downloadable PDF that comes with the product that is the guarantee checklist. So I'm going to give you this literally it's a picture. I'm going to give you this picture, and you're going to put this on your refrigerator. Now, what am I doing? A Gary Halbert trick. You're going to staple this to your face. You're going to put this on your refrigerator. You're going to put this on your bathroom mirror, so where you can look at this every single day. And if you don't see all 5 check boxes checked within X amount of days, it could be 60, 30, whatever your guarantee is, you're going to get your money back. Okay? And by the way, this gives you a great chance to future pace your guarantee. So here's my first point checklist. Picture this. It's 7 days from today. Your waist is at least 2 inches smaller this morning. And killer? I want you to check the box the moment you notice that. Check that first box. Now that's all future paced. If you notice my language, I didn't say it will be. I said it is. Right? Picture this. 7 days from now. Look at your waist. Now, I'm not using slides here, but I'm talking future pacing off the top of my head. Look at your waist. Oh, holy shit, it's 7 inches smaller. I wouldn't say that, of course, but you get the idea. Wow, it's at least 2 inches smaller, isn't it? Well, the moment that you notice that today, I want you to check that box. Because that first box promises you, now I'm out of future pacing. That first promises you you're gonna lose 2 inches in your waist within 7 days from now. But that's not good enough. I want you have to check out all 5 of these before I'm happy to take your money. And that's how you end. Even if you don't check off all 5, I insist on giving you the refund the very day you let me know. Now it's personal wording, and that's very key. Even if you don't check all 5 off and you still aren't happy, I'll refund every day. Now, you can also not use it. That's optional. You can also say, you know what? The only way I give a refund is if you check off every point. If you don't, if there's something not checked off. So you can reverse this. In other words, and use it as something they have to do. Okay, here's how I give my money back. You have to check off, you got to make sure that you do something. In other words, that you did this, that you did this, that you did this, then I'll give you your money back. That's an inverse of what I'm saying here. That's not what I'm covering here. But this is the massively powerful 5-point checklist that future paces people into. Every single one of those are future paced into seeing their success. You don't have to do every one of them, but 1 or 2 is very powerful to do, like I did in bullet number 2 here. So even if you don't check off all 5, I insist on giving you a full refund the very day you let me know. So what is that last little thing before we get into your homework? The very day you let me know. Notice how personal that is. That's so immediate. That's not email customer support, which I've said before because I've gotten lazy like everybody else in copy. Email customer support for a fool, blah, blah, blah. The very day you let me know. And here's how you let me know. Use this email. It's just a better way of saying it, isn't it? I'm going to give that back to you the very day you let me know. So that is how you construct what I call an irresistible offer. Now, all of that is completely thrown out the window if your price point is off. So I'm telling you right now, you got to get your price points on. You got to know what the price points are. You can't be too low, can't be too high. It's the Goldilocks zone. The only way you can do this is test. So there's nothing I can teach you other than to test it. Create 3 different landing pages, three different pages, 3 different price points. Test it. And if there's any ethical issues that you have with that, which I can understand, I've done this before, and the higher price point wins, great. The lower price point wins, give them the money back. Test it with 100 sales, not 10,000, So yeah, say, hey, guess what? We are lowering the price of this, and it's not fair that you paid $80. Here's $50 back. They're going to love you forever. Okay. Now that is an irresistible offer. Are there more things to it? Damn right there are. The closes. That's next week. For this week, it's time to do some homework. I want you to log into your Copy Pro account. You may want to get started on this one today, folks, because it's going to take you 4 days. I want you to search for sales pages bonus. That's supposed to be, there's a little parentheses there that's missing. Sorry about that. Search for sales pages on the homepage. Just go to search. You'll find sales pages. And we got 2 of them as bonuses in Copy Pro right now. I want you to select both of them and start a project with the niche that you've created. And I want you to use my $50 million sales letter blueprint. I want you to scroll through there. And if you've done, guess what? If you've done your homework to date, most of this will be filled in. If you have not done your homework to date, not the offer, obviously, because this is the offer and those kind of things won't be filled in, but that's a lot of it will already be filled in. I want you to scroll through the letter until you find, I'm not going to tell you where it is, success traits, and see how I used it. See how I use is there one unique thing about the ultra successful? Is there? See how I use that and fill it in if you haven't already. Then find the offer pre-frame. It's easy to find if you haven't filled it in, by the way, because it's just going to say, it's going to use those exact words I just covered in the slides. Find the offer pre-frame and find the offer USP. I want you to study how and where I use them within the sales letter structure and fill them in. Then, when you're done with that, go to the direct response sales letter and use that for the sales bullets. I do have sales bullets in my $50 million blueprint, but I didn't use the sales bullet formula. I want you to use the sales bullet formula, which is in the direct response sales letter. It's easier. Use the formula. Again, you'll fill in the lead first, even though it's last in the list. Sorry about that. But other than that, everything's great. Okay. Now, once you're done with that, thinking, okay, that's great. That's awesome. John's satisfied with me. No, not yet. I want you to write your own triple guarantee or 5-point checklist. And guess what? Neither one of those have a template. Neither one of those are in either one of those sales letters. Could I put it in there? Yeah. Will I put it in there? Davi would ask me that. Yes, Davi, I will. I will put it in there as soon as I have 3 seconds to spare. I will put that in there. But this is a writing assignment. So this is the very first real hardcore writing assignment that I'm giving you in this section. And that's to write a triple guarantee or a 5-point checklist. I prefer the 5-point checklist because, man, that future pacing stuff, that will separate you from that separates the men and women from the boys and the girls. Okay. So I suggest you try that one, because if you future pace that stuff and you come up with 5 ways that they can get their money back, you're going to have one of the best guarantees anyone has on the internet, shy of Jason Flatlin, who actually owns the record for the greatest guarantee ever. Okay, now I told you this was going to be a long lesson. We're going to go over time. We're definitely going to get to Q&A on this one. As you can tell, I am passionate about this. I love teaching this stuff. There's a lot of meat in today's lesson. You're gonna have to go back and watch this over and over and over again. I actually texted a couple of my friends that have not been, they've joined and they have not had time to come on. I go, dude, if you don't come on tomorrow, you're really missing it. So I hope this was helpful for everyone. I'd love to hear your feedback. And Leanne, if you were there, we'll take some questions and answers, because I think we kicked ass.
You did. In fact, I think you rendered everybody speechless because we have very few questions. So while we're waiting for questions to pour in, I have a couple comments. With that guarantee, John, do people have to check with their merchant account? Like if they offer like a year-long guarantee and some merchant accounts don't let you do a year-long guarantee, or what are the limitations on that?
Yeah, you always have to check with your merchant account. You always have to. Yeah, I mean, some, like for example, ClickBank has a mandatory 60-day money back guarantee, so you can't get around it. So yeah, you check with your merchant, and again, like for all my ClickBank products, they're all 60 days. But I'll give you another tip on guarantees. The longer they are, the less refunds you have. So if you can give a year guarantee, give it. Now it sounds counterintuitive, but it's just, it's just less, you'll have less refunds. But I've used the 5-point checklist backwards. Meaning the only way I'll give you the money back is if you check off all that you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. We did that once with Accelerator, remember? And that's the only reason I'll give you this. We have to look at your work. So that's for higher dollar products, that works. The inverse works great for lower dollar products. You're literally giving them a checklist, and I hope you guys caught what I said. Put this on your bathroom mirror. Give them a physical, tactile command. Put this on your refrigerator so that every single day, what you can expect from this product. And that's how confident I am that you're not burying your head in the sand. You're looking at it every single day. Well, there's so many benefits to it. If they're looking at something every day, like you're going to lose 2 inches in the first 7 days, their odds of losing 2 inches in the first 7 days go radically up because they're looking at it every day. So it's just a great way to make your product even that much better. Okay. So
very cool.
Awesome. Questions?
And hang on one sec. Mara, it's a comment, but Mara says, I've used John's, even if you don't like the font guarantee, so many times. It's her favorite one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's the Accelerator one. I love that one too. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Hi, Mara. Glad you made it. So yeah, guys, we just went through a lot of stuff. Surely you got questions and comments.
Yep. Elaine asked, is it Elaine? Yes. For gaining testimonials, what about the idea of a compelling product pitch and then tell people that you're recruiting a limited number of beta testers at a super low one-time price?
Yeah, love the beta tester angle. Use it myself, only when it's true. But yeah, we're doing this with Copy Pro Academy. So yeah, that's absolutely a valid way to do it. And we did it with Email Copy Pro when Email Copy Pro was released 3.5 years ago. We did a beta because it was a beta test. It was like, so don't do it unless it's now. If you can call it a beta test if it's like a PDF ebook or whatever. Like I'm doing that you're not obviously doing a beta test of software, but you'd be doing a beta test of the system, the blueprint, the formula, whatever you want to call it. And that's completely valid too. That's a great angle for this. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but we didn't get to scarcity. There's things in the stuff that we're going to get to next week where we're going to talk about the close. The close is we're going to talk about scarcity and all that stuff. So the scarcity is so easy to lie about. False scarcity is just way too easy. Like I'm only going to sell 500. I've done it. We've all done it because we're like, how do you make scarcity out of a PDF, right? Well, there's a couple of tactics I'm going to share with you that are possible in that area, but that's not this week.
Very
So I'd love
cool.
to hear, if you don't have any questions, I'd love to hear what you thought about what we delivered, or I delivered to you guys today. I would love to hear your feedback on this, because this is some next level stuff, man.
Yep. Oh, I had one more something I wanted to share. When you were talking about testimonials, right? Testimonials are a great way. If you noticed, what John was doing with some of his testimonials was he was also handling objections. So you can sneak handling objections in the testimonials, in the guarantee even, and you did that in the guarantee. If you don't see blank within X number of days, right?
Right, right, right. Yeah, you could do that. It's like, if you have to count a single calorie, if you find so like one of the things I could say for my thing is like, if you find yourself having to count a single gram of fat, a single calorie, blah. If you find yourself, if you find yourself having to go to the, if I tell you that you have to go to the gym, I mean, you can carry those to like extremes, and that can end up being kind of clunky, but yeah, you can use objections inside that 5-point checklist.
All right, let's see. Who said this? Mara said, love the flow of the bullets. I usually just write them all with no format, but I'm definitely going to use this. Also, really love the intro into the offer. The way you explained it is super clear. So
Thanks.
cool.
Yeah, that pre-frame is very cool. Psychologically speaking, it's really a power. If you can pull it off, it's the most powerful way I've seen to sell something. It's not just you. It's you and a team. You and the team of the ultra successful.
Richie. WS, I'm not sure what this is referenced to, but you will know, I'm sure. Do you know if Sherpa's clients actually ever printed it? I think the 5-point guarantee.
They didn't do the print version. That was my take on it. But I wanted to do the print version of it. Yeah, so this way I teach it, is that you have wait, no, come to think of it, no, I think they did. I think they did on Factor. I think they did on Factor, yeah. Yeah. So where it was downloadable, yeah. Yeah. They had it on the website, but I think they did do a printable version. That's what we wanted to do. And that's the way you should do it. Yeah. Again, it's like, if you have a guarantee that's so bold that you demand that people look at it every single day, just think about that. Think how many more people will buy your product. It's just going to be a lot more, and you'll close more, and you might get more refunds. But you'll also close a lot more. So.
Yeah, there was something similar in that letter that you've read a couple of times on calls about the skinny doctor, the woman throwing her dress.
Mm-hmm.
When she said, I lost so much weight, like I forget how it was worded, but it was something like I couldn't stop. And I was able to eat anything too, snacks, all my favorite foods, and the weight just kept falling off or something like that. It reminds me of the blue pill. If you're something lasts more than four hours, go to the hospital. Like that's such a brilliant way of saying, like, who doesn't want that, right?
The very best, I mean, we've had this conversation. What's the best line in marketing ever written? One guy said, for sale, baby shoes never worn, the Hemingway line. Mine is still, if your erection lasts more than 4 hours. it's the best ever. I mean, the first time I heard that, it's like, I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, yeah. Which is, there's a little history behind it. That was actually a real concern. I don't have a lot of experience in this area, but I do have a friend of mine that does. I'll put it that way. A friend of mine who's a doctor said, let me say, he's not but he said, yeah, there's apparently there's an injectable drug that men use. That they can, it just sounds more painful than doing without, but they can inject it's a small needle, I guess, but but they inject it and they have people come to the hospital because they won't go down, right? And then that can actually rupture vessels and stuff like that. So I think that's where they got the idea, but I still think that was written by a copywriter who saw that as a potential. Can we mute the phone? Can we mute the phone, please? That saw that as an idea and yeah, just blew that out of proportion. So, all right, guys. If no more questions, let me know.
No, there are. Brennan is asking, can you give an example that moves from the pre-frame to USP to bullets?
Yeah, it's in the homework. So yeah, it's in the homework. Have a look at the direct response version of the sales letter. That's why I want you guys to do that. But it's really simple. You would just move from the pre-frame to the USP exactly as I did on that slide, and then you'll discover ... bullet. It's really easy. So not hard. That transition is pretty easy, but it's also in the, and you can expand on the you'll discover, but you can say, let's say inside the blank program you'll discover or something. So yeah, the transitions of this, it should be becoming hopefully very formulaic at this point. Like, toward the end, the very last thing we'll do is put the whole thing together inside the sales page of your choice so that you'll see all the formulas. But
Let's see, Craig said, I got a lot out of this particular session, connected new dots.
cool, man. Thanks for showing. Thank you.
And Debbie asked, have you ever used a refund testimonial? Didn't work for me, but getting my money back was incredibly easy.
Wow, that's really, really samurai, Debbie. I love that. No, I have never used that, but man, that's a good one. I think I've seen it, but it's something I've forgotten. So like you've forgotten more than you know, kind of thing. But yeah, that's clever, and that's courageous too. It takes a great deal of courage to do it, to do a refund like this. So that's a great idea. Yeah, add that to the refund gold mine that I gave you with things that you can do to get those testimonials up, to get those, the more testimonials you have, the more you sell. And I've been, it's like pulling teeth sometimes for me because I forget about it in the last minute, and then it's like, oh yeah, I've worked with literally hundreds of people and I forget to ask them for testimonials and take pictures with them and stuff like that. So because I'm not in that mindset a lot. I'm not in the, hey, can you get, so whenever I write an offer for my own stuff, I have to go round things up, it kind of sucks, but.
And also the testimonials are a way to identify your avatar, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean,
like if you have multiple avatars, you should have them in, like, that's why you have the picture, right? The housewife, the fireman, right. Whatever.
Well, multiple demographics, yeah. So if you,
yes.
Yeah, in our terminology, an avatar is a phrase, but
right.
Avatar is also technically speaking, men and women over 40. I just don't consider that an avatar. I consider that a tier 1 avatar or a demographic. But like you can have that in by far and away. Like I'm, for example, for my weight loss, I'm 77 years old, and I managed to lose. Well, I mean, having those kind of testimonials are just priceless. Or, I'm using weight loss as my examples, but you can take this and extrapolate it to any sort of product or service. If you have a dog training service, it's like, my hand was bitten off by a dog, and when it was like, I used to be scared to death of dogs, mauled my face, but now I love my dog. He's awesome. That'd probably be a weird testimony. I wouldn't use that one.
But. Let's see. Elaine commented, I needed to hear the Jesus Caesar thing. It was useful because I have the empathy thing down, but I have to call in that super confident part as well.
Yeah, that one's a task, man. I mean, again, the more you practice it, the better you get at it. I've gotten to where I can slip into that character easily, but yeah, it's a permission space thing. It really is, and that gets into some really intricate psychology. When you talk about, most people, let me dive into this for a moment. Most people do not give themselves permission to succeed. So if you don't hear anything I said during the entire rambling that I just did for the hour, you might want to hear this. Where are you not giving yourself permission to succeed? There is a place. Guaranteed there's a place if you're not where you want to be. There's some level of your life where you have not given yourself permission. And it's usually subconscious, but you can root it out like all other subconscious things. But sometimes it's really conscious. Like, oh, I could never be successful and be a good mother. I've heard people say this. That's not subconscious. That's conscious as conscious gets. Now, it's completely wrong. I mean, it's demonstrably false. So now, you could make an argument that it could be right for her, meaning that she spends literally 14 hours a day being a mom or something like that, where there's no way she could, and the only thing that she does requires her to drive 2 hours one way and back or something. But even that, I'm telling you, even that, there's a way around it most of the time. So what are the psychological barriers that are holding you back? Where are you not giving yourself permission? Because I'm going to leap that back into our close here, our offer rather. If you don't give yourself permission during that time to drop that, whatever that may be, including I can't be successful because I'm a mother or whatever, you got to lay that shit on the table. That's got to be laid down, gone. You are not in that state. You're giving yourself permission to take off the backpack full of bricks. Because you're climbing a mountain, you got a backpack full of bricks on. That's real neat because you're Ben Greenfield. You're my buddy Ben Greenfield who walks around in an 80-pound backpack full of weights just because he's that guy. And it's cool that you can do that, but it's a lot easier when you put it down. And you can give yourself permission to pull that. You can always pick it right back up, and that's the key. You can always tell yourself, you know what? I give myself permission to be as neurotic as hell in 30 minutes. I'm gonna go right back to worrying about my bills in 30 minutes, but I'm giving myself 30 minutes off. It's permissions. It's all it is. It's like, and once you realize you can do that, your brain will open up to some really cool, interesting things. But you got to realize that you can do that. That's the way our brains are manufactured. I mean, we do it all the time with other things. Like, we know for a fact that it is not the most beneficial thing for us to do is to smoke or to drink or to, have 5 slices of ice cream. But there are many times when we decide 5 slices of ice cream, 5 slices of cake and ice cream. But we do many times say, I'm giving myself permission to have that cake and ice cream because X. And that X is usually something really crappy, really bad, like because I just broke up with my boyfriend. It's a non sequitur, right? It's emotional eating. But sometimes it's completely valid. Like, hey, I've worked hard, I've dieted hard, it's a time to refeed my leptin stores, I'm having that cake. Well, that's actually a positive way of doing it. So, and I'm not knocking on emotional eating, we've all done it. But my point is, that's still giving yourself permission. So I'm asking you to give yourself permission to become your Ubermensch, your Superman, your highest self, however you want to actualize that. It's really quite cool. And you will notice a difference. It's the same thing when I talk about a copy rhythm. And John Carlton and I were talking briefly about this on Facebook. Like, I think Mick Jagger is a copy poet, for example. Mick Jagger wrote lyrics that are not only brilliantly constructed, but they're constructed in a way that it paints a picture in such few words. It's really hard to do what he did. And it just doesn't realize, I don't think he probably realizes how good of a writer he is, but his lyrics have rhythm. Everything the Stones did had rhythm. And great copy has rhythm to it. There's a rhythm underneath the words, and you can feel it if you speak it out. And that's what makes video sales letters so powerful. You can hear the rhythm as somebody talks. So all this stuff is again, it's all psychological. It's all playing with the mind. So take all that stuff, use some of it, discard stuff that you don't like, say I don't buy that or whatever, but apply what you can and see what happens, because I think it's going to really help you.
Great little rant. And people are saying this great advice about that, the whole permission thing.
Cool. Glad that landed. It's important. Very important. It's very important. And everything that I teach, I approach people with that mindset. Will you give yourself permission to X? And that's really important in relationships and really important in learning a skill, just important. So.
True. I find you also have to have the belief in your product that it is the best solution. And, and by buying your product, you're saving your customer all the heartache of buying lesser,
Yeah.
product from the competition that wouldn't be as good. And if you don't believe in your product, you shouldn't be writing a sales letter for it, for
Well,
yourself
yeah.
or a customer, right?
Well, let's say that I remember I had this conversation I would keynoted ClickBank, I guess it was 4 or 5 years ago maybe, and I was taking questions after the talk. Um, and one of the questions was, because I said something similar to what I'm saying here, that you better fully believe in your product. If you do, not selling it is unethical. And the guy came up to me and said, he goes, I got a product, but you know what? I'm not happy with it. I don't think it's the best product. I think there's better products out there. I'm still sort of learning. I said, then that's what you sell. You can sell the idea. It's like you could flip this on its head. You could say, you know what? I wouldn't come out and say, oh, there are better products out there. Here they are. I'd say, there are products out there that do a great job with this. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to be satisfied. I'm not even satisfied with this product. That's why I'm going to give you lifetime updates, because I'm going to make it better and better and better and better. But if you get in now, I'm going to take care of you. So you have to phrase that to where people go, well, I'll buy it in a year, So it's a risky thing to say, but if that's true, then you need to voice it somehow. And you can learn how to voice these things in a way that turns every objection into a positive, right? Like, my product's not good enough yet. It's like then you can go into the beta test. You can say, listen, this product in beta test, I'm going to lower the price to this. I'm only going to take 100 people, and you are all going to help me make it even better. And then it's going to go up to this price. That's a way to do it.
Well, good deal. We've made our way through the comments and the questions.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for showing up. I know it's a lot. You might want to listen to this again. And good luck on the homework. Look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Again, it's a little bit of search and find, and you're gonna be digging around a little bit, but that's okay, because I want you to see the patterns. And it's a lot easier to see the patterns in CopyPro, because when you see the fields, you see, like, click on a blank field to fill it in, than it is to see these patterns when you don't have that, when you're having to look through words. So it's going to be easier to see them this way. Then fill them in for yourself and see how they flow. And I can't wait to see your homework over the week, and I will talk to you guys on Friday. Thanks.